All right, looks like we're live. Hopefully my microphone is on. Testing. Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. Today we will be having an open discussion about what happened to Nancy Guthrie in Tucson, Arizona. The same mystery we had February 1st is the same mystery that we have now, if not more. Let's go to Julie Martin. What's up, Julie? Says, loved Monk's episode on the backpack. Yeah, I just watched a big portion of that before we went live. Big shout out to Monk's Intrigue. If you guys aren't subbed up to that channel, make sure you do that quickly. You're missing out. Monk's definitely one of us, somebody that's constantly thinking, using what we have. We don't have a lot to work with. So instead of wasting time over here, he's focused in on utilizing exactly what we actually do have. Most importantly, the porch guy video, timelines, facts surrounding the case. What's up, Jari? Vicky, happy Friday. Honorake Wood. Sorry if I slaughter your name. I'm illiterate. I have the spelling of an 8th grader. Kathy, what's up? Texas Laura. We're going to talk about everything, but I wanted to give a shout out to one of my viewers. And I know sometimes this stuff seems a little conspiratorial or far-fetched. But when you look at some of the true crime cases that we've covered, they're all far-fetched. I mean, look at what happened to Missy Beavers, right? You got some weird guy in a full SWAT outfit running around a church with a hammer. We don't even know if Missy was shot, stabbed. People are still arguing about that online. I just don't think that that's the way it should be, right? We should have all of the facts surrounding these cases. I just don't understand. Shout out to Movie Buff at Movie Buff 7077. They say, I was watching Brian Enton and Maureen O'Connell. Shout out to Brian Enton and Maureen O'Connell. They mentioned the perp might be somebody who has a long-standing grudge. And we've talked about that from the beginning, right? The motive. Right? First of all, why target Savannah? You have 13 billion people in the world. You're going to pick Savannah for your little ransom scheme, your score, taking down a score. Well, why would Savannah even be on your radar? Right? You obviously know of her somehow. 13 billion people for your finger to land on. You're telling me it just randomly land on Savannah Guthrie's name, and she just so happened to have a mother who lived alone in Tucson, who was vulnerable and perfect for your plan? No, you saw Nancy. You had hatred for Savannah, and that it was at that point that the seed was planted for the fantasy, right? I see your mom is vulnerable. I'm looking at her, right? What do we covet? We don't seek out things to covet. We covet the things that we see on a daily basis, right? I'm looking at Nancy right now. I'm seeing her day-to-day routine But in the back of my mind is this jealousy or this grudge or this animosity. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, man, I could just totally take advantage of her. She has no security. She can hardly walk, lives alone. It's pitch dark out here. There's no cameras. This would be a perfect opportunity for me to launch my revenge plot. Because right, what first off, I'm a psychopath and I have sadistic tendencies that I compartmentalize, right? Nobody knows about it. Secret me is a super creep, right? When I'm all alone and maybe smart enough not even to do it on the internet, right? One of these Machiavellian sadists, right? 4D chess all day long. I just feel like that could get exhausting. So, what's the motive? Why pick Savannah? So that goes to this comment here. I was watching Brian Enton and Maureen O'Connell today. They mentioned the perp might be someone who has a long-standing grudge. I thought to myself sarcastically, how about Ann Curry? Right? That's so ridiculous. But so is what happened to Nancy Guthrie in Tucson. It's completely ridiculous. It's right out of a crime thriller. Right? High profile victim connected to Savannah Guthrie. We got a masked man. We have the incompetent sheriff and the persistent FBI, right? Playing the political angle. This is a beautiful thriller, right? Where's my ticket? Right? Who's starring Savannah? So I don't think it's that far off, right? If the experts are telling us we're looking for somebody with a long-standing grudge, we looked at Matt Lauer. We knew how ridiculous that was. But if we're looking for crawdads, we got to flip up every stone. We're looking for a masked crawdad, a coward. What's up, Cat Lady, Bev Mac, April, Susie, Patricia Cox? So, like Ann Curry, like that's something from my childhood. That's old school. Ann Curry. I guess not that far. So she wasn't too happy about being fired and replaced by Savannah. Then I thought, how about Matt Lauer, who made it known he didn't want to work with Ann Curry, demanded she be fired, and gave her okay for Savannah to take her place. That whole Ann Curry situation was a PR fiasco. I even thought to myself at the time, they dumped Ann Curry for this? Right? Long standing grudge. And you can tell out of nowhere that Ann Curry and Matt Lauer had like this weird chemistry issue. I'm wondering if he came on to Ann and Ann was like, get the fuck away from me, you creep. And then from there on, it was just like, whoop, it all fell apart. What's up, Susie? Someone mentioned, I can't remember who, but that the whole cast really doesn't get along. Well, what I'm learning from my investigation is that that industry is extremely cutthroat, like scary, right? Kidnap your mom in the middle of the night, competitive. Think about it. These people are making millions of dollars. Matt Lauer was making, I think, what was it, 20 million a year. This dude's competing with people like Michael Jordan. It's a lot of money. Isn't that the Matt was fired making sexual advances? Well, he was accused of grape. Him and a young employee of NBC, they were out there working the Olympics, and she got intoxicated, even though they had been seeing each other. I think they were already sexual partners. That doesn't mean that you get to just take advantage of somebody because they're drunk. Oh, I slept with you yesterday. That gives me permission now that you're drunk to sleep with you again. So in that light, I do believe that he perhaps did take advantage of her. But then again, I don't understand. Apparently they were continued dating. So what happened to Matt, I felt like was a targeted thing, right? If you give me $1 million, shit, to lie about a coworker, I know some people out there, some of you maybe, that would lie for less.
This is Today.
On the set of the Today Show, it's business as usual.
And good morning, everyone.
Matt Lauer and Ann Curry co-hosting the show as they have for the past year. But if you believe all the recent media reports, there could soon be a change.
Now there's this very strange situation going on where she's on the show every morning acting like nothing's going on.
Behind the scenes, amidst declining ratings, reports are rampant that Curry is negotiating her exit and that she could leave the Today Show as early as this week. Why? Insiders say it all comes down to chemistry.
If it does rain, we're going to be dancing, you and I, both of us, outside. We'll just get slopping wet,
let's
right?
play that by ear. Okay.
Yeah, Matt's like
he
he just acts bored with her.
Anne was great on her own, and the viewers love her. But being paired with Matt may just not have been the right fit.
New York Times media reporter Brian Stelter broke the news that Curry could be leaving.
What's up, Finn?
Why now and so soon? For one,
Bev.
the competition.
Hello,
Sheila,
everyone.
too.
Boy, everyone's stepping up their game.
The numbers don't lie. Though the Today Show has been #1 for 16 years and still is, in April, ABC's Good Morning America took the lead and has won the ratings battle several more weeks since then.
Maybe that's because those people on GMA now are people you want to hang out with, people you want to spend more time with. Right now, GMA, which has always been the #2, feels fresher.
And the Today Show?
And the Today Show feels stale.
I'm Matt Lauer alongside Ann Curry.
NBC isn't commenting on the reports, but in a recent CNN interview, Matt Lauer said this.
When people start to write articles about what might be wrong with the Today Show, you know where you should point the finger? Point it at me, because I've been there the longest, and it's my responsibility.
As for Curry, in an interview for the August cover of Ladies' Home Journal, when asked about the ratings decline, she said, "It's hard not to take it personally. You worry. Am I not good enough? Am I not what people need?"
This isn't nonprofit theater. It's advertiser-supported television. You know that, right?
I'd rather do a good show for 100 people than a bad one for 1 million, if that's what you're saying.
Problem is, viewers count. The more people watch, the more money TV morning shows make, which is why who sits in that anchor.
Let's go to Yvette. NBC would pull any stunt for ratings. Dirty Network. Before this, SG was on her way out due to low ratings when she was on air. Yeah, there seems to be like a little bit of panic. I mean, Savannah knows what happened to Ann Curry. It could have happened to her. I think like a month or two before this happened, she had surgery on her vocal cords. Like she couldn't even talk. You're a reporter. Like that's what you do. You talk. Her career is in jeopardy.
Chair is so closely watched.
Now with Ann Curry breaking her silence about that.
So I wanted to get a look at Ann Curry, right? We're kind of looking for somebody, looks like a, 5'10-ish, give or take. Could be pretty slender. The legs don't seem skinny, but the arms do. So I wanted to get a good look at like a modern day Ann Curry because the porch guy's eyes, they do look Asian. We've said that from the beginning. We said feminine, possibly Asian descent because of the positively tilted canthal.
Britain, and she's here in Rank, South Sudan, as a UNHCR.
So here in one of her most recent videos, she revived just kind of. She's got like cargo pants on. She's in the Sudan, getting back to her journalism. How crazy would that be? Seems like people choose depending on politics they follow. Yeah, we're guided by our bias, right? What we want to be right is the news that we follow. And I've been doing a pretty good job of training myself against that, to go against the grain. Right? To be a member of a jury, what do they ask you? They don't ask if you have bias or not. Everybody has bias. They ask you, are you capable of controlling that bias, right? Can you set that bias aside for the truth? It's not that easy, right? We have our egos to contend with. Right? It's almost like bias is like a horse pulling your ego or being whipped by your ego, right? From behind, like, let's go this way. Talk to her in a while, then take the kids out for the weekend to visit Granny for her birthday. Why go to Carson's house? Well, I mean, why not Carson? He has a family, little kids. Savannah's good friends with his wife and him. So the kids are entertained. That kind of gives you a chance maybe to go have a glass of wine or something, you know. A lot of parents running around. Kind of gives you that Madeline McCann, right, where you get a little too comfortable. You have all these adults, kids are only like a stone's throw away. If anything happens, right, they're right there. But what people don't understand is these predators are very brazen. They get off on that adrenaline, right? So if they see that you're close, but you're not close enough to get there in time, they're going to get a high from that. It's going to be more of a challenge. Or they might just think, how stupid are you? Right? You think your kid's safe because you're 100 yards away and you can see them, right? They're in the line of sight. Why is family telling people like Kathy Lee not to talk about the case? That's a tough one. I always have a feeling like the family knows something that we don't, but they really shouldn't. If the family knows something that we don't, they really should not, from an investigative standpoint. And what I've learned following a case from when it breaks all the way through the trial, that's just never the way it is. The family, not only do they not know, they're giving out wrong information, right? The family's in a position where they feel like they know certain things. Sometimes they do, but really they don't. Not only that, they're wrong about it. So a lot of times people covering and doing investigations like we're doing, like a public investigation, it can lead them down the wrong path. That's why it's very important to verify your information. And even when you have verified information, like Monk's Intrigue's video, we could be wrong about the backpack, right? Don't assume we know what we're looking at because of that video. I think we have the right backpack. That's the way I feel about it right now. But I'm not going to let my confirmation bias tell me what is fact and what's not. Right? I need to fight those urges. Like, oh yeah, this is definitely a fact because it fits my narrative. Right? I'm going to forget about all of this stuff over here. No matter how great it is, right? It's almost something that's creating an image, but I'm going to slide it to the side because this right here supports my new theory. And I can go present it to everybody and they'll be like, oh, wow. Right? Great job. Good find. And it might be the case, but I need to go debunk it first. I need to set my bias aside and say, hold on, right? Don't get too excited. What's up, BB? There is a bungee on some of those backpacks that isn't on all of them. Not that I've seen, BB. I haven't seen one backpack with a bungee and then the others without. Now, if you're looking at a different size of bag, that's a different story. Thanks, Celeste. But it's like a group effort. It is a group effort. So I don't know about the whole Ann Curry thing. She's definitely an able body. She's up and at it. Her eyes do match. The high cheekbones, I think that the porch guy does have a set of high cheekbones, very similar. But obviously she doesn't have facial hair. But that's cosmetic. All right, we can just slap it on. We've seen Savannah do it. Yashazian. Sleuth, what have you heard about the sheet tarp found? I don't know. I didn't find it. And I haven't heard anything about it. All I know is that that place is riddled with homeless people. What are the two things that homeless people carry the most? Blankets and tarps. But yeah. They're everywhere. What about the dead body found yesterday? I haven't heard an update on it, but I'm definitely curious. Apparently, it wasn't completely decomposed, telling me that it's not something ancient like what AJ found, from the Hohokam tribe or something weird like that. This is something modern, recent, somewhat recent. What's up, Paige? Bev Mac, Monica, Dread Lover. Could the bungee cord be a clip on addition? Yes. I have a lot of things that I can add on. You can just clip it to the strap, the shoulder strap. But in my opinion, the porch guy's bag is the simple bag, the one that I have, the one that JLR has, the one that was posted by law enforcement and a lot of you on X. That is the bag, in my opinion. There's no extra bungees. There's nothing. It's just a bag. But what you do have on that video is you have shadows, you have colors that bleed together. You don't know where one item is starting and the other's finishing. So that creates pareidolia. What's up, Grunge? Knives. What about knives? Wouldn't that be crazy to be in? I mean, if we're looking for somebody with a long-standing grudge, I mean, Savannah basically booted her out of there. Matt Lauer was like, "You're out." And Savannah is in. That was the end of her career until recently. So I don't know. I think it's just interesting. In my opinion, it's going to be something much more simplistic, something much more closer to Tucson. Not so Hollywood crime thriller, but it could be. It really could be. Right now, we just don't know. All right, looks like we got a bad leg here. Little stutter step. And a very large backpack. Kind of get a look at what's going on back here. Seems to be something bundled up right here. Maybe a ponytail. So you have a ponytail, your hair, you put on, let's say, black pantyhose. You cut the eyes out and you cut the mask out, or the mouth out, like a ski mask. You put the pantyhose over your face to flatten down your hair and to kind of change the shape of your nose. And then you pull the ski mask over it. Right, you can kind of see like this could be a ponytail. See this right here? Was that the same backpack that Monks was wearing on his video from last night? I'm not sure. You were choked? Oh, knives. Thanks, Jari. If you guys want to support the channel, there's the Venmo. We accept Cash App too if you guys want to buy me a coffee or something. Josie, welcome in. Do you think Porch Guy is dead? Blue Moon? I don't know. I don't. TNA. Where is TNA? I think they studied crime. Koberger did. Savannah studied crime. Yeah, this person definitely has investigative knowledge, but that could be learned. But it's one thing to read it in a book and online, and then to go out there and actually put the boots on the ground, actually get it done. This person was very successful in their mission. They extracted Nancy successfully and left, at this point, zero evidence other than this camera footage. And they almost didn't even leave this. If Nanos had his way, this would have been lost. And it's possible that other video was lost, which breaks my heart. Do you think it was staged at all, like Monks had said? Yeah, it could be. Right, the door's being propped open, the blood looks staged. We recreated the blood exactly. So they know that it's Nancy's blood. It could have been planted there. I don't know if they tested it for saliva or oxygenation. I haven't seen the report. Definitely wasn't made public. And you can't get it through a FOIA. So I don't know if that blood was planted. It looks planted, right? Why do you have blood in the front and then doors propped open in the back? It just doesn't make any sense. And then it's like, once the investigation started, they realized that. They're like, apparently, like, they didn't get it, right? Law enforcement showed up. They didn't even notice the blood. See, they underestimated the stupidity of law enforcement. And most of you out there overestimate it. You give them too much credit. Just like these kidnappers possibly did, right? If it was being staged. We'll prop the doors open. We'll put the blood at the front door. We'll damage the light. And we'll take the camera from the front. Boom. Cops will get it. She's deceased. You know, give me my money. But no, the cops come fumbling and bumbling in, traipsing across, you know, footprints and tire tracks. Don't even notice the blood. Right? Oh, it looks like she might have wandered off. Close the crime scene down. And it's like, no, we just got a ransom letter. Oh, better call on the FBI. Let's go open up the crime scene back up. She's not missing. Looks like we have a crime scene. I'll give a press conference and then we'll figure it out later. So it's almost as if they tried to stage the crime scene, right? If they did, with the blood, the doors, you know, all the creepy guy walking around stealing the camera. But it just wasn't obvious enough to law enforcement. So they have to continue taking countermeasures. All right, well, we'll send, you know, the ransom. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, I'll send it. I have the, you know, the knowledge about whistleblowing through, you know, a media tip page, right? They can't track you. It's, you know, you're protected. You leave a tip, you don't, you know, people aren't going to leave tips if they're going to be traced. So you have to provide them that whistleblower protection, especially if, as a media outlet, you want that news. Nobody's going to leave you a tip if they get busted an hour later. Oh, yeah, we sent your IP to the FBI. Thanks for the tip. It's like, okay, that'll be the last tip you ever get. This individual knew that, right? If we send it through KOLD's tip page, they can't trace us. Are you sure? Yes, I know. Well, how do I know that? Well, my sister is Savannah Guthrie, right? I know a lot about the media. My mom was a journalist. I have that knowledge. So we'll just continue staging it, right? We just need them to know that she's deceased. And then we can get our inheritance. So yeah, it does look staged. Is it staged? I don't know. Probably not. Right. This is probably somebody, when we see them, we're going to be like, that doesn't even look like the porch guy. And then I'm going to remind you about the pixel distortion and all of the craziness that I've been warning you about the video. But when they catch the porch guy, you're going to be like, the eyes don't even match. Right? He doesn't even have a positively tilted canthal. Sleuth was wrong. But what was rule number 1? We should never assume that we know what we're looking at because of this video. But the truth is, it's going to be like a Tucson resident might have gone to school with Savannah or grew up with Savannah, knows Nancy, maybe somebody that lived in the area, right? People aren't going to shit where they eat. So somebody came from outside and came inside. That's the only reason I don't really think Luke would have done this. But then again, Luke might feel like an outsider, right? Be to feel like that, like this isn't my home, right? I'm just a guest here with a good view of potential victims. But typically you're not, you're going to travel and commit the crime somewhere else. That way you can come back and forget about it. You know what I mean? Unless you're a complete freak and you kill your neighbor. People have done that. People have killed their own parents, threw them in the closet, and had a party. Lived in the home. And the only reason they were caught was because people could smell the bodies. Harvinder Sunila. Whatever this turns out to be, all the hundreds of videos, breakdowns from amateur and ex-professionals, it's all a guidebook for anyone else to do the same thing and not make mistakes. Well, do you really think that the person who planned this is like, oh, I better go watch YouTube. I better watch Sleuth so that I know what to do and what not to do? So you're thinking like a normal person. I love that about you. I love that about you. How do we train ourselves to think like a psycho? Right? We always like, oh, well, this person did this because he's sexually motivated. No, we really got to think like completely different. Right? How do you wipe away your empathy? When you're doing your theorizing? I don't think you can. It's all part of the way your mind works. Everything that's anecdotal to us is what we incorporate into our planning, into our thinking. Same goes, in my opinion, about a serial killer or a psycho killer like this, the porch guy. He's incorporating his own personal experiences into the planning. And if he has zero empathy, that's going to be very hard for normal folks to try to comprehend. How do we get to that? Remember the riddle, right? This woman meets a man at her mom's funeral, doesn't get his name or any of his contact information. A few days later, she kills her sister. Why? Everybody gives like normal answers. Like, oh, she did it for this, she did it for that. But the psycho reason was because she wanted to see the man again. She didn't get his name, but she knew if she killed her sister, there would be another funeral so she can meet the guy and get his contact information and they'll live happily ever after. So we're trying to figure out a motive, right? How do you figure out a motive through those eyes, right? I think we're dealing with the psychopath from, from what I can understand of it. And I'm not an expert at all. But I mean, how do you become this guy where you're packing your backpack, right? You're getting all your little Walmart gear. And the only reason you have all this cheap gear on is because you plan to get it covered in blood and DNA. And you don't want it to get on the stuff you actually have on. Right? That's a psychopath right there. Right? I need to get all this cheap shit, cover my good gear or my normal the gear that I'm going to run away in and eventually burn that too. But I need something to cover me from head to toe. Right? Shoes that I'm going to throw away, socks that I'm going to throw away, underwear that I'm going to throw away, pants, jacket, this backpack that I'm going to throw away. Not only that, I got to fill this backpack up with items that I plan to use to terrorize an elderly woman. That is a psychopath, right? Not only is this person decided that they're going to terrorize an elderly woman, they got the outfit, they got the bag, and it sounds like they did pre-planning. This has got to be exciting them at some, it's got to be exciting to them. So there's the sadism. All right, let me zip on down. I've been kind of blabbing on here. Let's go to Monica. She's got a nice comment here. And why not send the ransom note directly to somebody instead of submitting it through a tip line? Why risk the note not even being seen or taking serious enough for it to be relayed? My opinion, Monica, is this. You are more concerned about not getting caught, right? Let's say you showed up to Nancy's house and for whatever reason you were unsuccessful in extracting her from that home, but you didn't get caught. Is it a failure? Yeah, I mean, our plan wasn't successful, but at the end of the day, I'm not in prison for kidnapping, right? So honestly, it's not about that. It's about not getting caught first and foremost. So your question was, why not send the ransom directly to someone instead of submitting it through a tip line? Well, the only reason I'm sending it through this tip line is because I have intimate knowledge about how it works. I don't need to use a third-party service. I don't need to mask my IP address. I don't need to use any crazy software. I don't need a burner phone because I have intimate knowledge about KOLD's whistleblower policy. All I have to do is send my correspondence, right? Put my email as Savannah, and then just write out my ransom note. They're going to find it. And if they don't find it, okay, no big deal. I didn't get caught. So the top of the priority list is don't get caught. Underneath that is, well, what if, they don't see the ransom? Well, obviously they did. Most importantly, they didn't get caught. Because what up? It's someone that knows her area. Could have brought the perp from Mexico, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, I'm working on a live stream titled Henchman, but it's just not ready yet. If you guys have anything for that, somebody that might have been hired by someone, right? The person sending the ransom notes is not necessarily the person at the front door, right? The porch guy. So if you guys want to add or contribute to that, I'm still kind of compiling content for it. I'm not sold on the idea, but the title of the stream is Henchman. Right? It's kind of hard to tie a motive or to find a motive that points to a perp, and you're looking for the porch guy to be the perp when the motive isn't even attached to him. Right? His motive was something completely separate. For all we know, he got paid in advance. Sleuth, what's funny is I've seen selfies of T where he puts things in front of a camera. What if it's just his thing and and did weeds subconsciously? I don't know. Send it to me. sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Send me the image. I'll put it on the screen. Right. Talk is cheap. If you've seen this, or I have this, or I have a document of that, I don't want to hear about it. Send it to me. I want to see it. And then we can talk about it together. I haven't seen any proof she ever made it home. Light in with 2. That's true. Either have I. But just knowing what I know about the investigative process and ICAC, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, the division of the FBI, doesn't mean that there's anything involving children here, but it's the digital devices, computers, phones, anything with digital data. And what I know about our cell phones. Now, your cell phone is tracking you constantly. Every time you turn on your phone has documented that. Even if you just let the screen go dark, your phone has now documented that. If you lock your phone has now documented that, along with the time and your geolocation and your elevation, how high you are, how many stories up, stories down you are. Not only that, your phone is just randomly pinging all over the place. So if ICAC was in there pulling the digital forensics off of not only Nancy's phone, but I guarantee Tommaso's phone as well, that's going to tell us, that tells them a story that that Nancy was dropped off. She took a certain amount of steps inside, utilizing her own phone, opened the garage, closed it. So it's all going to tell a story. Do they have that information? I'm almost 100% sure that they do. To me, as soon as I heard Nanos clear the family early on, in my mind, that would be the only reason why. Well, actually, there was 2 reasons. The first one would be, and it could be all of the above, but 2 reasons it could be the cause for that. One, they were caught on camera, Tommaso in the driver's seat and Nancy in the passenger seat, over there near the Circle K and the Chevron. And then they have to cross a major intersection right there. And there's a camera on that street as well. So they would have captured both of them together, and then Tommy coming back home, right? Fitting into the timeline. And not only that, when they pulled his digital forensics, it's going to have his phone basically dropping off Nancy, coming home, maybe accessing Facebook, Google, sending an email, taking a phone call, sending a text message. We'll even show if he deleted any text messages. They'll be able to see all of that. So when ICAC downloads all of the digital forensics, it's going to tell a perfect story of where they went, all the way down to how many steps they took. So if this crime happened, I believe almost, I'm going to say 99.999999, that they know Nancy was brought home. Because if not, that means that 100% Annie and Tommaso would be the prime suspects. But for some reason, Nanos decided that he was going to clear them early on. And I believe that's the reason why. He looked at that report. That report told a story of them, Nancy being dropped off, and it matched their story perfectly. Or should we say to a T? But that doesn't mean that later that night, the plan wasn't launched and the phones were just simply left at home. Right? Phones are left at home. And in order for, let's say, Tommaso, and I'm not accusing anybody, I'm just saying theoretically, remember, he's the guy with the idea of taking Savannah and Annie through the desert, holding hands to a car, to a vehicle waiting, right? If you're going to sneak out of your house and go commit a kidnapping, that's the way I would do it. Stolen car waiting for you around the corner. You sneak out through the back so none of your neighbors see you, and then you run through the desert. Get into this car, go commit the kidnapping. Right? Otherwise, if you get into your own vehicle, you might be seen, it might be spotted, your neighbors might see you getting picked up in the front of the house. For all we know, Tommaso snuck out in the middle of the night. Annie didn't even know it. Right? Maybe he got her drunk. Right? I'm going to get Annie all fucked up tonight. That's why I'm taking Nancy home. I just want to make sure, right, that she goes home and she's there and everything is good to go. And then when Annie passes out, I'll go sneak out through the back and go running through the desert, and join my, my crew of my kidnapper crew. What's up, CJK? Wonder if they ever saw proof that Nancy was taken in the house. Yeah, really, the phone is only proof that the phone went in. Now, if you're going to trick ICAC, you're going to have to have access to Nancy's phone. And nowadays, it's like facial recognition, thumbprints, passwords. Yeah, you would definitely have to have all of that. Lisa says, hired clown. What's up, Texas? Splinter Collective. I went to their website, looked at photos, and the events were a little odd for Annie to be involved. See, I don't think you know a lot about Annie. I think Annie and Tommaso, I think they're a little bit weird. I think they're odd. I think they're like on the odd side. The sleazeball and the other events seem very alternative. That's her. Right? If you listen or if you go and you learn about Annie, she is goth. She's always been goth. Right? It was Savannah, according to Nancy, who was the poser. Every once in a while, she would pose like she was goth, but it was Annie who really is. Right? She's the guy that married the bass player from a local band, a goth band. Yeah, she's as odd as it gets. And I think once we start to understand that, maybe we'll start to see it a little bit clearer. Right? There's a lot of politics involved. Right. And with these types, they believe more in community than they do in common sense, right? It's not about common sense. It's like, yeah, this guy might kill me, but today, right, he's my boss, right? Today, you're in charge, right? And it could be some crazy guy who thinks that he's the Statue of Liberty. He's like, okay, we're all going to stand here with our arms up in the air. All right, that's what we're doing today. Because it's not about common sense, it's about community. That can be dangerous. Right? These knives won't cut me. If I just move like such through the field of knives, they will not cut me. But one wrong move. There goes an artery. Leslie, I think she died days before when she stopped going on social media. I don't think so. Yeah, the digital forensics is telling a story that she went home. She made it home, guys. I'm almost certain of it. She made it home. Everything was as normal. And then this fucking guy showed up. Who is he? Why? Who hired him? Who's motivating him? And I do believe whoever kidnapped Nancy sent the two first communications, the ransom communications. What's up, Judy? Grunge, trying to commit the perfect crime when he couldn't take anything from the house. That tells me that he's not a petty thief, right? He doesn't have sticky fingers. He has a plan, right? And what's the whole purpose of going to college, right? It's not to prove that you're smart. It's to prove that you can sit in one place for a certain amount of time and get a job done, right? Doesn't really matter the grade. If you pass, the job's done. You have now proven to me that you can sit in one place. That's exactly what I need. I need you to come over here, sit in one place, and be trainable. Looks like you have a degree to prove that you can do that. I feel like we might be dealing with a college graduate. Somebody, he's looking for his reward. If I just do a good job here, I will be rewarded. Unless the job itself is the reward, right? This revenge, this cat and mouse, right? Once I take your mom and torture your mom, Savannah, I can't wait to watch her squirm on TV. I feel like that's what this person wants. G of Twins, what's going on? She had a party at Mahjong at her house the day before, on the 30th, so 2 days prior. Ann Burnson was there. Ann is the only Mahjong player that came forward. Ann said on the 30th, January 30th, she was with Nancy playing Mahjong. And Ann, and this is a quote, said when she showed up to Nancy's home, the back gate was propped open and the kitchen door was propped open. And Nancy was just sitting there kind of leaning against the counter, like waiting for everybody to show up. Like, let's go. Let's get playing. Let's get down. You guys ready to get your asses handed to you? Open door policy. Savannah told us that 2 doors were propped open. I know for a fact that one of those doors was the back gate. Why are her doors propped open 2 days prior, inviting friends in, and then also propped open the night that she was kidnapped? Ding, 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 ding. I think there's a good chance that she knew her killer or her kidnapper. I really don't know if she's deceased or not. Inner Strength, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Never heard that sliding glass door was shattered. No, there was no shattered glass door. Not that I know of. I'm not saying it's not true. I just haven't seen it. What's up, Jody? Someone that maybe knew the cameras didn't always capture everything. Well, here's another question, Grunge. Who installed the camera? I don't see Nancy going out there and like drilling a hole through the metal and, you know, putting the camera up there, mounting the camera. I feel like somebody did that for her. What's up, AZ? Yeah, shame on them. But AZ, they may not know what shame is. That's what I'm saying. How do you theorize a motive when all of the elements, belong to a normal person? How do you remove that? Remove the shame, remove the empathy, and look at people almost as objects, maybe even items that are in the way. Grunge. Yeah, I mean, that's how it kind of works for me. Like if I call you and you do a good job, like let's say I have a plumbing issue and you did a great job, if in the future I have another issue, I'm going to call you. Or if I know that you're a handyman, like we had a guy that helped us out a while back, and then for whatever reason on our new fridge, like one of the little motors went out, like a little cooling fan. So it was causing like our fridge to shut down because it would overheat. So we just called him. He figured out what it was, knew how to get his hands on the product, the item quickly, and fixed it. He's a handyman. So what if that's something similar to what happened with Nancy, right? We have a guy here fixing this, and you ask him if he can install, hey, can you install this camera? Well, the guy installing the camera is like, well, you should really get, the service for this. This is only battery operated. You're not hardwired here. And she might say something like, well, really, it's only so I can see who's at the front door, right? Somebody's knocking on the door. It's not a security camera. It's just a way to communicate with people at your front door without having to get up and go to the front door. Right? Hello? Oh, yeah, coming around back. I have the doors propped open. Right? I don't need to get up and walk all the way to the front door. I'll just leave the doors propped open, and then all the people that are coming, right, will save me from having to get up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I get up once, prop the doors open in the back, right? I don't want to leave my front door propped open because you never know. I'll leave the two in the back propped open, and then I'll go rest and wait for everybody to show up, right? I need to rest my legs and my hips, because if I go around up and down for 4 different people that are going to show up, that's it. I'm done, right? I'm 84 years old. I'm done. Norma, welcome in. Blue Eyes, John Feldbush. Annie Ukichik. Sitting halfway up in a small tree on my property, taking a break from trimming monsoon damage to the folks below listening to Sleuth podcast from above. Quite the visual. Quite the descriptive writing. It's bizarre for sure that different agencies don't know who this person is. What's up, Danny D? Did you see the new parking signs being picked up and put out yesterday that was caught by another streamer? Yeah, that was JLR. The guy stated it was a private person having them placed. No, what he said was it's a private company that's placing them, not Pima County. But typically that's what happens. They'll hire a company to do something for the city, especially when it comes to signs and things like that. So it's definitely coming from Pima County. They just hired these individuals to do it for them at the expense of the county. So yeah, Pima County's paying for that. Yeah, hang in there, Annie. Hang in there. Colella was asked to send the text. Ransomist was asked to submit those tips. I mean, it could be. It could be, right? Maybe he just did a bad job. But honestly, I don't think he's involved. He could be. It's not like he was trying to get the money for himself, right? It's not like he was like, hey, put it in this account instead. He was just telling him to pay. But one thing about Derek Colella, he seems like an obvious sadist, right? He's the secret mutilator. And he does have ties to Tucson. So he might be motivated and connected to Annie and Tommaso, but not connected to the kidnapping. Right? He sees Annie, Savannah, and Cameron making this public plea. And then he's triggered, right? He's like, oh, I know her. I can get her number right now. And if he's high on meth, who knows what he's really thinking? But he could know her, could be connected to Tucson and all of that stuff without being connected to the kidnapping, but still be motivated to torment Annie. Or even just to wreak havoc. Some people just like to create chaos. Monica says the 2 notes to KOLD didn't come from the same IP, but it appears, Monica, we wouldn't know. They don't have access to the IP. That's the whole point of sending the tip through that, is that they don't have access to the IP. So how would you know if they're the same IPs? They shouldn't have either one. Some crazy guy that felt like he wasn't paid enough for his work. Nancy being vulnerable, I think she could have taken kind of like the face of a group or, you know, something like that, something that she represents. It still could be political. G of Twins. Love handles or high hips. What's up, Summer? If your husband is talking to you about having your order a KC Chiefs hat, your phone documents it and shows Chiefs ads. You know what's crazy? If you say certain things around your phone, those ads will start popping up. Your phone's listening to you. The things that you say around your phone can affect the algorithm. Creepy, creepy, creepy. Mom mode and coffee. Yeah, coffee sounds really good right now. Fan, what up? Cameron is way more valuable, maybe, if it comes to like government secrets. But even then, Savannah could have access to government secrets through Michael Feldman and just her job in general as a journalist. Scott Peterson was publicly cleared until he wasn't. It was a law enforcement tactic. So he'd let his guard down. I don't know, Yvette. I mean, he was always pretty much the suspect. I mean, there's really nobody that could say otherwise. Right? I mean, I remember that clear as day. He's still trying to get off from that event. I just don't buy into I used to, the whole, oh, law enforcement has they have a strategy, or they're doing this, or they want us to think that. I wish. I wish they had a strategy. But the truth is they're not doing shit and they have nothing. But it feels good to think like, oh, in the back of our mind that they're working with all this evidence and, they really have a person of interest, but they just can't tell us. Nope. Hate to burst your bubble. From my experience, right, covering true crime over the last 4.5 years, watching cases from the moment that the crime happens to when they capture their suspect and convict him in a trial. Law enforcement wasn't doing any of the things that we thought they were doing. Even the things that they said they were doing, they lied about that. And they hadn't done it at all. Right? Once it's all said and done, and you hear the testimony and you hear the facts of the case, right, under oath, right? This isn't some press conference where you can say whatever you want because you don't ever expect any of the information to be brought to light for a long period of time. Well, here, all the information is now brought to light. It's out there in the open, and none of it was true. Law enforcement lied. Family members had no fucking clue about anything that was actually true or factual. If anything, the information they were providing to the public was misleading. And the FBI wasn't doing any of the things that we thought they were doing. I mean, it takes them like 6 months just to interview 12 people. And then it takes them another 6 months to go back and interview them to figure out, all the information that shifted. It's like, well, we just interviewed this guy. He said he wasn't there until 2. I'm interviewing you. You're saying you were there at 3 and that you saw that person there? Yeah. Okay. Well, now I got to go interview this guy again. And he's going to be like, oh, yeah, I was wrong about the time. Okay. Well, now I got to go interview all 4 of these people because the timeline's off, right? 6 months later, the guy's in Canada now already committed 2 more homicides. Halfway to South America. Let's see. I think I got an email here. Let's see. Just a quick clarification. Sleuth, an IP address absolutely can be captured when somebody submits a form on a website. Yes, that's true. But not when you're submitting a tip with whistleblower protections. Whether it is actually stored depends on how the website and form are configured. That's not true at all because I run my own website. And I've done my own research into this. It's up to the people who control the website. If they choose not to capture your IP address on a certain page or on a certain form, they can. And that's what KOLD did. They're supplying you with whistleblower protection. They're saying if you submit a tip through KOLD, it will be untraceable. Now, the person who sent the ransom knew this. Now, if I send you an email right now, yes, my IP is going to be all over it. If I fill out a form online, my IP is going to be on anything that I do or submit online, my IP will be attached to it. But the whole point of this media page, this tip page, is to protect you from that. That's the point I was making. All right, let me zip on down. I'm way behind. Let's go to Libby 6. There are paved private cul-de-sacs and streets off of North Camino Escalante that are owned by multiple people, not the county. They get permission from the sheriff and pay for no parking signs in their own. That's not true, Libby. That's not true at all. I can't just hire a company to make my whole street no parking. It doesn't work that way. Today, I'm going to take away the Constitution. This road is now mine. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Sorry. Mile High. I've been following this case from day one. I still don't know how we can get anywhere without a motive. It eliminates so many people. Yeah. I mean, it's just like the two ransoms, they just insist upon themselves. It does feel staged, right? It's like they just want Nancy to be legally considered deceased. That's what it feels like. Your phone following you. What's up, Blind Squirrel? Or listening to you is called behavioral marketing. Yeah, that shit's creepy. He made her move and she probably passed. Plastic bag will still show up. Former employee. I don't know. I feel like if you're going to make an 84-year-old woman bleed right at her own house, you're upset about something. You might even be getting some kind of satisfaction from it. You know, like you punch her in the face and you're like, oh, God, that felt good. Right? You can blame Savannah for that one. Like, this is feeling good for them. Like, even if they get the ransom or not, they're still having fun. Some kind of validation, justification, some kind of reckoning. Hold on. I think I got another email. I wasn't aware of whistleblower protection, so interesting. KLD itself tracked the IP. Okay, send me that article. Send me where KOLD reported they tracked the IP address. Because if they have the IP address, that means that they most likely used a third-party service. And then there are no whistleblower protections. They've been gone since the day or so after Patrick and I discussed them on a live. Yes, it is. It's the county website. Yeah, it's titled Monterey Spike. Thinking she resisted and he smacked or hit her. Why at the front door? Did she see the car? Like, you're coming with us, Nancy. I'm not going anywhere with you. Smack. Or like a struggle of some kind and she gets her nose bumped. We got a scrub report. Let's get those likes up. We don't want no scrubs. Just take a little peek at RN bat ship crazy. Amount of blood for being on blood thinners. I don't know. It was kind of like, it was a decent amount. And remember, she's not bleeding like from her arm or something. She's coughing the blood up. Let's see. Peep the bottom of the first. Yeah, just send me the link. If you guys want to show me something or convince me, you have to show me the link. Just show it to me. I'm not going to go back and forth and look at a YouTube video and do all this. It should just show it. If you know it to be a fact, show it to me. I love facts. It's the best ammo we have. What's up, Susan? The one that was working in the neighborhood, not sure. Sorry, I got offended, Chris. Nothing personal. Feds got their eye on something in the vicinity of her home. RN is Richard Nolette. I have a couple videos on him. Just go through my catalog. Thought KLD said they did have an IP. Okay, well, show me that article. I don't like to play this game. Oh, I thought this or I thought that. So you have one person saying, I heard it was the same IP but fake. A ton of variables in this case and many theories. That's all we have right now. What's up, Chris? Celtic. Happy Friday. FBI has to know what and who. Zero request for any public help. I doubt it. I doubt the FBI knows anything. Leslie says bleeding was common. I see it in her pictures. Yes, but it's the type of bleeding, Leslie. Do you know what blood spatter is? And blood separation. Okay, let's see. Maybe we got a link here. Oh, here we go. Oh, please tell me this isn't to a video. Why is your link taking me to X? Yeah, Mary Coleman, I don't think works for KOLD. I meant send me a link to the actual KOLD article, not to another person talking about what KOLD said. That's not helpful to me. If anything, it's distracting. Would Nancy be ornery enough to be on board with some idea to slip off to end life in another country? Well, if she was doing something like she was suffering and, wanted to still have control over her inheritance or her property or, try to get a full payout of the life insurance and things like that, yeah, she would definitely have to die of natural causes. If you take your own life, that's going to void all of that. Not only that, it's not legal in Arizona. So if that was the case, it would be her idea. and everybody else would just be helping her. But I just see that, very far-fetched. I don't know if she was suffering that bad or what. What's up, Sammy? Every news station has said the 2 most discussed ransoms were from the same IP. Okay. I mean, I'm glad that we keep saying that. And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying talk is cheap. Right? If we're going to play the game of believe me, believe me, believe me, if I say it and I repeat it, then you have to believe me. I don't play those games, right? Oh, trust me. Right? That's the consensus. I don't do that. So it should be easier than it should have been easier than typing this sentence for you to send me the link of where KOLD is just saying it. I'm not saying that you guys are wrong at all. I just would like to see it. Yeah. News Nation is not KOLD. See, this is what I'm referring to, you guys. I don't want to hear News Nation report about how KOLD has the IP address. I want to hear KOLD saying we have the IP address. I don't care if I'm wrong because I haven't stated my position one way or the other. I'm just trying to explain how my process works. I've seen how rumors, like I understand that we're not professionals and we're not working in an official capacity, but it doesn't mean that I don't actually want the truth, right? I'm not here to play that game. Oh, what's the best agreed upon fact? No, I want real facts. I want to find the truth in this case. I don't want to spread a bunch of rumors. I've seen the damage that could cause. If it's an inside job, nobody will get the reward money. Probably accident, A&T, house cover up. I don't know. I feel like they made it home. I feel like Nancy made it home at least. My mom had a security door and it hit her arm. They are heavy. That old blood. Once again, look up blood spatter and blood separation. The blood pattern that was found outside Nancy's has a lot of blood separation. About medium velocity. And even the experts agree that it's because Nancy was coughing blood up. So something's dripping. It's probably her nose, right? Drip, 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 drip. Now I'm choking. And there's 2 areas where she coughed up her own blood, creating medium velocity blood separation. That doesn't come from cutting your arm. Jenny says the neighbor would have heard if there was a struggle, in my opinion. I mean, there's no way to determine how neighbors sleep, what they would and would not hear. People are different. And I've covered a lot of cases where neighbors didn't hear anything and there was like gunshots. There's been times where there was a whole shootout and neighbors didn't hear anything. Like I slept through it. She's more vulnerable outside her door. Yeah, there's a good chance she was lured out. And if she was taken out the front, why prop the back doors open, right? Why forget about the back doors? Well, I think that it's possible that she propped her own doors open. She was either catfished or she knew her kidnapper. Right? She was expecting a late night guest. Right. It's life or death, Nancy. All right, come over. I'll put some coffee on and we'll talk. Right? I don't want you to hurt yourself. Kidnappers come walking right in. They don't even touch the doors. They leave them open. And they have the car pull up to the front and they drag her out. And that's why we have the blood in the front. What's up, Miss Mandy? Let's go to Danny D. I seen RN did a cipher related to Oregon the other day. That was too close to home. Just him mentioning my state. I just don't know what to think when it comes to RN. Yeah, don't get me started. It makes sense to me that she'd resist there. Yeah, that's the point. It would become way too real, Grunge. Right, let's go. And then she sees the car, right? She's like, oh my God, you guys really are trying to take me out of here. Right? And that's when she starts to squirm, gets hit in the nose, maybe even runs. I think the blood could be trailing from all the way down those steps where the railing is on her driveway back to her door. I think she could have been hit there. There's the struggle. She turns and kind of is able to kind of walk a few steps back, falls to the ground, trying to get back into the door. And that's when she's picked up and thrown into the vehicle. So the good news is if there's blood all over Nancy's front porch, I think it's safe to say that there's blood all over this car. Probably near the trunk area or the back seat. So if they can find this car, they're going to be able to find that blood. See, take blood thinner, accidentally hit my head. It bled like crazy. It wasn't that big of a cut either. Yeah, I don't think it's about the amount of blood. It's the type of blood spatter that we're seeing. Savannah used her influence to keep friends and family quiet. Otherwise, we would have heard more from them. Yeah, and I don't understand the reasoning behind that. Look at that big ass iron door. I can pull that up. See the house. And here's a good one. Yeah, most people have a door like this in Arizona. Here, let me pull up this article real quick. All right, investigators believe Guthrie ransom notes came from abductor. So this was published by Michael Cooper, June 22nd. It says here, CBS News is reporting that investigators familiar with the case believe 2 alleged ransom notes 13 News received in February likely came from the person or persons who abducted Nancy Guthrie. So this is KOLD talking about what CBS wrote. But let me continue on. 13 News can confirm we received 2 notes in the days after Guthrie went missing from her Catalina Foothills home on February 1st. Just like then, 13 News is now releasing the full details of the notes. It was not releasing the full details of the notes out of respect for the family and the investigation. We also shared the IP address from which the notes came to law enforcement. What? That's a weird sentence. Let's see. We also shared the IP address from which the notes came to law enforcement. I don't know what that means. While they were not from the same IP address, the sender used the same type of secure server to hide their address. Okay, so if they're hiding their address, how did you get the address? That's written very weird. We also shared the IP address from which the notes came. Oh, shared it with law enforcement or shared to law enforcement. Okay, that makes sense. The first note came one day after doorbell camera videos were released of a masked person appearing to tamper with the camera in the moments before. Yeah, so according to this article, they did have an IP address, but that the IP address was hidden and that they're not the same, and they were provided to law enforcement. So it is a little confusing, but it appears that they did have the IP address. I still believe that all of this was performative. I mean, it looks like theater. Even the porch guy, but why take the camera? Like, why even take this camera off of here if it was for theater? All right, you don't film an action movie and then destroy the camera or the film inside. Right? You edit it, you secure it, and that's the product. So if it was theater, why take the camera? Why disable the Wi-Fi? Like, what are you even doing over here by the door? If you're not going to access the home through the front door, what are you even doing here? Is it because you're getting ready to take her out? And why, if you're planning like the best way to take Nancy out of her home, why would you do it in the front and not around the back where the doors are already open and you can hide your vehicle? I just don't understand the blood on the front porch. It appears to be staged. The propping of the doors appears to be staged. Matching that with the 2 ransom notes, it all seems to be staged. I just don't understand. What's the crime flow? It's either that or Nancy actually woke up in the middle of the night and walked outside on her own. Right? She walked out front like, what the hell's going on? Why is my power off? And what's all this weird shit coming up on my camera? Like, what's going on? Was there a storm? I just don't understand it. Either she was lured out or it was staged. I don't see why they would make entry, prop these doors open in the back, knock the floodlight down, and then just take her out in the front and totally disregard all of that effort. Right? The smart thing to do would be to pull around the back where nobody can see you on the side of the home. It's just crazy. Did we ever confirm if DC had a wife? That I don't know of. I don't know if he's married or not. So yeah, it looks like, according to this article, KOLD, it's a little bit confusing the way they wrote it, but apparently has the IP address, sent it to law enforcement, but yet they were using software that hid the IP address. So it's all very confusing. I'm not sure what's going on there. But we're going to look into that a little bit further. But according to KOLD, who received these messages, they had IP and they sent it to law enforcement, which showed that they were using software to hide their IP. So I don't know if it's like a VPN where it replaces your IP with something completely random from a different location. I'm not sure. What's up, Sammy? Maybe they pushed her to get her to move out the door and she fell on the ground and landed on her face, perhaps breaking her nose. It does appear that she was on her hands and knees. So not only do we have, medium velocity blood spatter, and medium velocity meaning that something caused the blood to separate into smaller droplets. Something with medium velocity, not like a gunshot, right? If it was a gunshot, it would be like mist. But this is like more of a medium, which is like she coughed it up. But not only did she cough it up, but she was a short distance from the ground. So it matches with her kind of being on her hands and knees, coughing, and then probably picked up at that point. So if she was placed in a vehicle, I'm sure she's coughing all over that vehicle, dripping blood. So if they can get their hands on a car, yeah, they're going to know if Nancy was in there. The blood pattern is way too perfectly placed, and it's easy to create. I duplicated it almost exactly just using a dropper, a large dropper. Yeah, that's crazy. I guess in some states it's legal. They legalized it in Canada, and there's been over 100,000 since. It's only been legal for like a year or two. It's kind of scary. Leslie, Native Girl, New York. If they had the IP, wouldn't they be able to trace it back to the writer? Well, according to KOLD, they were using software to mask it. So it sounds like they did use a third party. The thing is, Native Girl, you can send an anonymous email that's untraceable by law enforcement. You just have to use a third-party service to do it. Now, it's not saying that the FBI can't get their hands, on the information through a subpoena. What it is, it's that these third parties, they don't even save it. So even if you use your own IP, they don't keep those records. So even if the FBI was able to get their hands on it, they don't exist. But according to this article that was sent to me right now, that's what they were using, something to mask or hide, software that hides the IP address. So I'm just a little bit confused by the article. How do you send law enforcement IP addresses if the software is masking them. So it just must be like a VPN where it replaces the IP. So it gives a fake IP address. Those were submitted to law enforcement saying, hey, well, these were fake IP addresses. They must have been using, certain software to mask it. It was one of the catalysts in timing for this crime. I mean, it could be Mile High. If we're going to think like a sadistic psychopath, right? And I know you're probably thinking Annie and Tommaso, right? They got to be the prime suspects. But what would be the thinking behind that? You would have to be a pretty low down, SOB to do something like that. But for a psychopath, that's not the way they think of it. They could be thinking, well, Nancy's going to die any day now. Her heart is really bad. Like she says it herself. The doctors are saying, everybody agrees, right, that the situation is dire. If she dies by natural causes, we are not going to get the full payout of the life insurance or something. I'm not saying that's what it is, but if there is something like that going on, I think, yeah, it could trigger a sadistic killer to kind of speed things up. Like, well, we can't allow that, right? We need all that money. We need our full inheritance. We need, we need all that money that's coming to us. So if it looks like she was killed, not only do we get 100%, they would actually get 140% of a life insurance payout. Why spend the rest of your life without your family? SG to her. She looks distraught, but I do get they haven't looked. Well, what's kind of sad about the whole Savannah and the Today Show, I feel like Savannah wanted to stay home with her actual family, but if she did, they would find a way to cut her out, right? Kind of like the neighbors did. Kind of like Nancy's neighbors just kind of cut the whole incident out of their life like it didn't happen. We'll just cut it away, right? When the media goes away and all the YouTubers go away, we can just cut it out of our life. Eventually, somebody else will move into Nancy's home. There'll be little kids running around the yard, and there'll be nobody to show up with cameras anymore. I think that Savannah feared that the Today Show would do the same thing to her, right? If I'm not there reminding everybody of what happened to me and knowing how cutthroat and heartless it is, the Today Show, I feel like she was under pressure to get back there. And nobody's talking about that story, about the unusual pressure that's being placed on Savannah to work and to stay competitive or to lose it all, right? Your mother was killed. Today's going to say, oh, well, that's not our fault. We didn't do it, right? If you need to stay home and mourn the death of your mom, go ahead. But for them, the show goes on, right? Go ask Ann Curry about that culture over there and if somebody will step on your head to get where they need to go. Well, Matt Lauer didn't like her and got rid of her. She was 100% an absolute great journalist. Still is. She's still working. She's in fucking Sudan right now, covering a big story. But yet here she is, just because of some freak named Matt Lauer who sexually assaults everybody in his office, doesn't want you to be his co-anchor. Now you're out of there. And in comes Savannah. Well, if she saw that happen, right, and her mother is kidnapped, possibly murdered, if she shows 1 ounce of weakness, they're going to get rid of her, especially if she's already fearing that. They were already talking about getting rid of her. She had vocal cord surgery like a month before this happened. Things were not looking good. She should have been able to take a break, do what she needs to do to find her mom without feeling like they're going to fucking fire her. Shame on the Today Show. Shame on NBC. It's not all about ratings. She should have been able to get out there and search, organize searches, work with law enforcement, set up a base camp here in Tucson without feeling like somebody's going to come in there and take her job. Right? She's got bills to pay. She's living quite the lifestyle. Someone didn't want to take care of a bedridden elderly woman. Well, I mean, there's facilities for that, hospices and things. TB investigates, find out where they celebrate the horned god of nature in Arizona. What do you mean, TB? The horned god. If you guys want to send me anything about your theories, if you guys want to fact check me, debunk anything we're talking about, just email it to me. And we'll correct the information and we'll put it out there. We'll do our best to get to the bottom of it. Lidocaine Jane. No way they are real notes. If they were, they would have said what she was wearing, not give 2 pieces of proof the whole neighborhood knew existed. I don't think the whole neighborhood knew that there was a white watch at the foot of her bed. Now, I can understand if they said, well, there was a white smartwatch found at the crime scene, right? There's plenty of photos with her wearing that white smartwatch. But to say it was found at the foot of the bed, either they're the kidnapper or they're a first responder. And that includes Annie and Tommaso, right? Anybody that was first on the scene has that information. So if they are lying, or they did, if it was one of those individuals, I think the investigative team would have found out who it was, because only a small number of people actually knew. It wasn't the whole neighborhood. Maybe the floodlight in the back. Yeah, because of the drones, but not the watch. There had to be somebody, one of the first responders, including family and friends that were there on scene. Monica, I'm giving you facts. Is anybody saying that you're not? I don't understand why people get so defensive or panic. It's okay to be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. There's no reason to panic. Thanks, Paige. Shirley says she was not bedridden. Octagon pattern of blood with same size circles. Yeah, there does seem to be a print, some kind of a print there. I flipped out and confronted the head nurse. She told me I was being selfish. Now I have chronic pain and understand. Then the anger in me was painful. Exactly, Blue Eyes. Most times it's not as it appears on the surface. Thank you, Sparky. If you guys want to hit the Cash App, there you go. I appreciate all the support. KOLD is not the same IP address as the initial note, but it appears the sender used the same type of secure server to hide their IP address. There are a lot of spaces between the properties. According to the search map, they spent a lot of time on the left and right sides of Nancy's home. I just don't understand why they weren't really focused with this back area back here. Like if we're looking for a parasocial, some kind of opportunistic, sexually motivated crime, I think the person would have been spending time back here. Maybe watching her. And maybe when she got dropped off, maybe that's when Nancy opened the doors, right? She only opened them for a second. And her trash cans are out here. I mean, is she going to come through the garage? Like, I don't understand what this is. Are these just extra? And who takes out her trash cans? I know it's not her. And why would she prop open her gate and her door at 10 o'clock? So maybe she wasn't expecting somebody over too late, right? What if she told this individual, like, I'll be home by 10? Like, come by, a short time after 10. So what if Nancy was under their control since like 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. or something like that? I think it's possible, Gail. I think she could have propped her own doors open. And also, what's going on with this door right here? Look, doesn't it seem like this window right here is like broken out, possibly open? You see how all these windows are like tinted? This one's not. And no car involved. I doubt that, Blue Eyes. If they had a car, we would know about it. There's no way that they're going to have a car and just let it sit out there. Think back to Brian Koberger. Even when they had a small glimpse of a car, they posted it everywhere. Right? They need that car. They need to find that car with Nancy's blood inside that car. No way they would hide that information. Unless they were just absolutely confused on what type of car it was or color. Yeah, don't get you started. Here, let me zip on down. If I miss your comment, I'm sorry. Ooh, gold coin. Some jewels by Oakley. Thanks, Oakley. I appreciate that. Thanks for supporting the channel. This land, exactly, because was a stranger, there would be panic. They would be furious and screaming from the rooftops to find this person. Yeah, you might be right, this land. It's almost like everybody knows, like, this is somebody that she knows. And that's why I wonder why Savannah said that. Why would she go public with that information about the doors? Right? The doors were propped open. To me, that was a dog whistle. It was a dog whistle to everybody that is close to Nancy. They all went, oh, right? Because they know she props those doors open. It was almost like Savannah was talking to the people that might actually know something. Like, right, the doors were propped open. 2 doors in the back were propped open. I feel like she was talking to a small group of individuals that know, yep, Nancy did that. She knows her kidnapper. No YouTuber took Nancy. That is funny, in my opinion. That'd be crazy. That would be crazy. Another. Let's see. Let's go to Frost. Porch guy likes doing the twist. Reminds me of a dancer on stage. just spinning. Like most people just turn, but this individual spins. Interesting, Frost. Remember, guys, I think it's going to be the little things. Jenny, what's up? Why would you kidnap somebody and not cover their head and have the arms tied? Well, if it's an elderly woman, I mean, why worry about it? Right? She's kind of like already confined physically. Aloha to the true crime junkie. Aloha, aloha. Darren says, what I can't make sense is why SG would continue to ask for help. Part of covering up the staging. Yeah, it's very strange. She says, I will never stop looking. And then asks, like, tell us where to start looking. Tell us, she says, I will never stop looking. And then in the next sentence, tell us where to start looking. It's like, what? Very confusing. And then it's like she's talking to Buffalo Bill. She's no fool. So if she profiled this guy like a parasocial, maybe it is. Maybe she thinks it is somebody like a Buffalo Bill type. More of an opportunistic, like a RN scenario. Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you, Sammy. Yeah, we're going to figure that out. One piece of information at a time. Marianne, Lisa. I wish we had a recent picture of RN. I think Adam is the only one that has actually seen him. Yeah, go ask Adam. He's seen him, but he won't tell us. A little frustrating. But whatever. What's the end game there? And why start that at all? Bizland, my very, very first thought when I saw the video was that it was the sheriff's office bullshit recreation. But then I remembered all the YouTubers were outside already, so they couldn't have unless it was AI. I mean, it did come from the FBI. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. Yeah, that'd be great, Darren. That's a good thought. There is a pic of RN out there. I don't know how old it is, but yeah, I have one that's pretty seemingly recent, probably like within the last 10 years. I am nervous to go alone, but don't think I have a choice. I have to go at least try and search all the spots I've spent hours combing over the Tucson area and outskirts. I mean, hours. Trust your gut. Just remember, there's a lot of dangerous people out there. The Arizona border is no playground. For any information to be released, and then bam. Exactly. You don't pay for the service they provide. What are they hiding? Yeah, it is eerie. It still gives me the chills. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like somebody creeping around the back of this desert at night might find this little area interesting right here. And I mean, how often do you think Nancy actually comes back to this little treehouse back here? And if you're back here, You're sitting back here. It looks like you have a bird's eye view, or at least a good view of what Nancy might be doing. Or even just kind of peeking up over the fence right here. So I feel like a desperate individual could come creeping up here at night, like around 10 o'clock. Make this his little bed. I wonder if there's any evidence of somebody sleeping in here. And while they're back here, they start to watch Nancy. You know, a couple days go by. She comes home, gets dropped off, and they're watching everything. Nancy goes out back, props open her door for whatever reason around 10. Walks out her gate, maybe to throw away some trash. So she props it open. Or, you know, to do something. And this guy just comes over and grabs her. They were very interested in Nancy's car early on. Right? So somebody without a car could take Nancy's body, go place it somewhere, come back, put the vehicle back into the garage, and then you just go about your parasitic lifestyle. The dog alerted something wrong, so they decide the front door. Yeah, you might be right. Right? They could be adapting. You know, that's a good thought. Maybe something happened in real time, because they did knock down the floodlight in the backyard. So there's this one right here that they didn't seem to be worried about. But the one over here they damaged. I wonder why. I wonder if she received any Nest alerts on her phone earlier that night while she was at A&T's. It would be nice, like, if some of those questions could be answered, like the basic stuff. I just want some of the basic information, right? Who was all there with Annie and Tommaso? What was Nancy doing earlier that day, right? What'd she do earlier in the day? What'd she do the day before? I think the reason that they don't want to talk about that has to do with the doors being propped open. So Nanos doesn't want to talk about that. He's like, nope, I'm not confirming that. That's one of his aces held to the chest, right? He's keeping that card close to the chest, which makes me wonder, why would Savannah go against him when releasing that information? I'm going to tell you something about Savannah. She is not this little bubbly girl that she plays on television. We are talking about somebody that passed the bar with the highest score in Arizona when she took it. Right? We're talking about a stone cold killer here. She released that information for a reason. Right? She said 2 doors were propped open and her mom was taken out of her bed barefoot. That tells me that they probably have footprints of Nancy somewhere. Maybe if she was taken out the back, you know, it's all dirt right here. There could be footprints, right? You got a male's, probably looks like a size 10 or 11. And maybe in front of it, there's some footprints. Bare feet. Or maybe in the grass, or in blood in the house. Right? Maybe she stepped in blood and left a bloody footprint. And they've determined that that was, you know, Nancy's foot. But either way, she felt it was necessary to tell the world that these doors were propped open. And Ann Burnson says that these doors were propped open the same way when she showed up 2 days prior. I think Savannah believes that they know, the killers know Nancy. And the reason they're not searching or doing anything, she might have an idea who this is or who has motive, right? And if she says anything about it, it would immediately destroy the investigation. All right, guys, this will be our 5-minute warning. Good stuff today. Thanks for the emails on the IP address. We'll follow up on that and get a clearer image and see who sent what and who received what and what they have to begin with. Great job today in the chat. Cindy Lean, what is up? Always good to see you. Here, let me go down to the bottom. If I skip you guys, I'm sorry. Ooh, shout out to Paige, gifting a membership. Thanks for your continued support. And it doesn't seem like she's looking. Thank you, Honor. Appreciate that. Sandra, thank you so much. Alley Cat, FBI could have told her if she could handle it, maybe she should go back to work to help the case somehow. I don't know. I just feel like it would be, either way, it would be a Pyrrhic victory, right? Your mother dies and you lose your job and your career at a point where it was kind of slipping away to begin with. Right? No matter how you ended up, it would be at, such a great loss. I don't know. Maybe that was just too much for Savannah to bear. Or I can't even bear losing my mother. Now you're going to tell me I'm jobless? I don't know. That might be too much. Especially when your job is everything. Like you put off your family, you put off raising kids, you put everything off for this career. And I mean, it really shows. Look, we're talking Savannah, right? She's this high profile person. But you don't get there without making sacrifices. And she made plenty. It might be just too much to bear. Having to deal with the situation with your mom and then, right, this grimy NBC, like a satanic company is like, well, you better get your shit together, Savannah, because for us, it's all about numbers. And I think there was a report early on when this happened to Nancy, it was good for their ratings. So she would talk about it, they would talk about it, and then apparently like after a month, it was killing their ratings. And that's when Savannah came out publicly and said, hey, I don't decide what we talk about. Right? I don't get to come on here and talk about my mom if they don't want me to. That's got to be frustrating. Torture, probably. Esmeralda, welcome. Welcome to the Sleuth crew. Glad to have you. All right, let's go down to the bottom. All right, well, let's do a couple more. We'll go to Frostflower. Police never confirmed how they got it. Isn't this something they usually find out pretty fast? Got what? Yeah, that's right, sure. Blue-eyed mama. Maybe if they thought it was a stalker, that they may show up and contact her that she went back to work. The perp figured it would break her, and by going back to work, it showed different. Yeah, I agree, Blue-eyed, but I just don't think that all this kinds of things that we think might be happening or that might happen in a movie, I don't think these things are really happening. right? That's what I believed. I believed that whoever did this, part of them wanted to destroy Savannah. So in order to destroy her, right, let's take away her career. I kill her mom. I stage it like this, kidnapping to torture her, really. She goes into a depression, loses her job, and her entire life is ruined. Yay, victory for me, right? It's kind of like the arsonist. Lights a fire, sits back and watches all of the destruction and the sirens. It's like a Hollywood production. So, I mean, it could be. I'm just learning the more and more that I cover true crime that those types of things just aren't happening. That's the way our minds work. The same reason that our minds work that way, or the same reason that we're communicating in a true crime forum, why I'm covering true crime, why we're all interested in it. I think we just have that in common. That's just the way our mind works. Very critical thinkers. Thank you, Marianne. Yeah, she's under contract, and all they care about are ratings. They're not paying her $8 million for nothing, right? We're paying you $8 million because I'm making $100 million. If I stop making $100 million, I can't pay you $8 million. I got to pay you less, which you aren't going to accept, right? Because you're the late, great Savannah. But I can replace you like we did with Ann Curry. AZ man, are you going to Tucson this weekend? I don't think so. Just wasn't really feeling it. Financially, probably isn't the best idea for me right now. And I just didn't really have a game plan. I think right now I would rather sit here right with you guys and talk. We need to figure this all out. Like the IP stuff, we need to get all the facts straight. We need to figure out what this perp was wearing, what his motive was, everything. But the tangible things, right? The pieces of evidence that we actually have, that video. We don't even know what we're looking at right now. It's been 6 months. We still aren't even clear. We have a video and we don't even know what the hell's on it. We have to figure all of that out so that we can get an understanding of what the hell's going on here. And I'm telling you, once we figure everything out and we have all of the absolute facts, we will begin to see an image of what we're looking for and who we're looking for. I truly believe that. But we got to stop with the rumors and we got to work together, figuring out the little details. No more rumors, no more crap. And that goes for me too. You guys have to hold me to the fire. If she was comfortable leaving the back doors propped open, then why not leave the garage door open? Well, first of all, the garage door is open to the front of the house and it's much larger, right? If you're propping the back doors open, it's only inviting the person who knows that they're open. Leaving the garage door is inviting everyone and their grandma to come over and take a look in your garage, especially in the middle of the night, right? Any crackhead who walks by, oh, open garage, let me go take a look. But nobody's going to know that this back gate is propped open or the door's propped open. Come on now. Thank you, Mark. It was good to see you. Dolly. Wasn't there anyone who didn't like her? A hired worker, a past hired worker, a neighbor? Well, the first ransom was addressed to Savannah. So I don't know. Are we looking for somebody that doesn't like Savannah or doesn't like Nancy? Or doesn't like Nancy and knows that she has a wealthy daughter? Dump the cleaning stuff in the yard where the brown spot was. It's kind of like a brown spot over here. Something in the grass right here too. Yeah, some people are just motivated by money. So there could be the main guy who's motivated by revenge, but convinces his henchmen to commit the kidnapping and based on the promise of money. So you have a porch guy that's motivated by money, and the person behind it all is just motivated by revenge or something. Sadism. Nice, Nana. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate that. Dolly Marinello. All right, last comment. Let's go to a big one. Let's go to Lori. No, she's responding. All right, let's go here. I always suspected they melted her. They did their job in that house. It was targeted. It is gruesome and disgusting. But police barely said anything about any of their findings. I don't think they found anything. I don't think they have anything. These people came in and came out, right? They weren't looking for anything inside the home. They didn't target Nancy specifically for money. It's like either it was staged to look like a kidnapping or it was a kidnapping. Right? This wasn't some kind of bumbling, opportunistic killing where somebody just came across the house and it was open. We would have all kinds of evidence all over that place. This was very planned out. It even appears like the kidnappers showed up on January the 11th to do reconnaissance, right? To make sure that there was no cameras anywhere, because they planned to come in there and extract Nancy in a vehicle. It's the perfect neighborhood. I've been there so many times. I cannot find any cameras that point to any exit or entry point into Nancy's home. So either you're a neighbor and you're dragging Nancy through that desert behind her home, or you're an individual doing that and you're either off-roading or you're able to get her to a certain distance and then into a car. Or you just pulled up. You just pulled right on up, right into this little gravel area and just parked. Got out of your car, shut the power off. But I don't think that's what happened. I think they killed the power like around 147 with this box here. But then again, I'm not sure about the power anymore. Because if you look at the porch guy video, you can see that. Let me see if I have an image of those lights. You see these two lights right here? You can see the shadows from both of these lights on the porch guy. One's going in this direction and one's going in this direction from these lights. If the power was off, these lights would be off. So I don't know. Did they turn the power off and then turn the power back on? Or did Nancy prop her doors open? She knew the kidnapper. They come in and they say, "Well, I'm sorry, Nancy, but we're going to kidnap you." And then they unplug the modem from inside after they secure her and then go around the house. Right? They damage the floodlight. We'll take care of that. They make their way around the home. Nothing over here. Oh, we got a camera at the front door. So I need to take care of that. Why? Because we're going to have a car pull up soon. We're going to have a car pull up and we're going to extract Nancy out of here. But before we do that, I need to destroy the floodlight and the camera in the front before we do anything. I think that's a possibility. Somebody just sent me a quick email about this, whatever this is. Some items on the ground. Like maybe somebody was coming over to do some night swimming. Not sure. Blue Eyes, thank you. I'd move heaven and earth to find her no matter what. Yeah, I agree. It's tough. I'm not in her position, which is great. I mean, I definitely prefer being on the outside looking through the glass. But the pain inside that glass, I can't try to understand. But yeah, and the fact that I don't understand it, means that I'm ignorant. And I might make comments that come from an ignorant place. But that's the way it is, right? Nobody wants to educate me. Nobody wants to speak on how they truly feel or what's actually going on. And then we're left with speculation and theorizing and, right, wondering who the porch guy is instead of actually, conducting a manhunt. I would rather have a guy's face on the camera saying, hey, we're looking for him. Here's all the information about where he might be. He's on the run for what he did to Nancy. But I mean, I don't even know who that person is. I don't really even have an idea who it could be. But I know if we stick to it, we keep straightening rumor from fact, eventually we're going to get an image of what we're looking for, and we can help better. But right now, I want to thank everybody for hanging out this Friday live stream. If we're lucky, we'll go live again tonight for an open panel. If you guys want to get a hold of me or send me an email, whether you want to correct some information that we've talked about, if you want to debunk me, if you have a theory, or if you would even like to be a guest on my show, send me an email. Let me know what you want to talk about, and we'll get it scheduled. So let me know. And if you're part of the replay crew, you know exactly what to do. Drop a comment. We'll get back to you. Everybody else, I'll see you again real soon. Peace.